The rope tornado. It's the one people underestimate the most. At first glance, it looks too thin to be dangerous, almost like a twisted line hanging between the cloud and the ground. Something easy to ignore. That's the mistake. Because even in this fragile form, it's still a real tornado capable of causing serious destruction exactly where it touches down. Rope tornadoes usually appear in the final stage, when the funnel begins to narrow and lose structure. But final stage doesn't mean safe. The winds can still be violent. The damage just becomes more concentrated, cutting through the landscape like a blade. Fences torn apart, vehicles flipped, short paths, but brutal ones. And there's another problem. They move unpredictably. Unlike larger tornadoes that seem to follow a clearer path, rope tornadoes can suddenly shift direction. 1 second they're moving one way, the next they're not. Now, the cone tornado. This is the shape most people imagine when they think of a tornado. A clean geometric form wide at the top, narrowing down as it reaches the ground. It looks organized, predictable. But that clarity is deceptive, because this is when the storm is working at its most efficient state. Rotation is stable. Updrafts are strong. The entire system is aligned to sustain itself. This is the mature stage. And at this point, the tornado can easily destroy homes, uproot trees, and damage entire neighborhoods. But here's the key detail. The shape reveals what's coming next. If the cone starts narrowing, it's weakening. If the base begins to widen, it's intensifying. Then comes the elephant trunk. This tornado doesn't fall straight down. It bends, curves, almost like it's reaching toward the ground. That shape isn't random. It's the result of competing forces. The storm is moving in one direction, while winds near the surface push in another. The tornado becomes flexible, unstable, constantly reshaped by the atmosphere. And that makes it harder to read, more unpredictable, more dangerous than it looks. Then we reach the column tornado. Perfect, symmetrical, almost too perfect. A straight cylinder connecting cloud to ground with nearly uniform width. No curves, no distortion. Just a solid rotating structure. This symmetry means something important. The system is balanced. Airflow, rotation, pressure all synchronized. Nothing is collapsing. Nothing is chaotic. And that's exactly why it's dangerous. Because this level of stability often comes with high intensity. The wider the column, the greater the destructive potential. This is the last stage where the tornado still looks understandable before everything becomes more complex. Now, the multi-vortex tornado. Up to this point, everything had a single rotation. This changes everything. Inside the main tornado, multiple smaller vortices begin to spin, like mini tornadoes orbiting a central core. They appear and disappear in fractions of a second, and each one carries extremely concentrated power. This turns the tornado into something unpredictable. Not one force, but many. And that explains one of the strangest patterns of destruction. One house completely destroyed. Another just meters away, still standing. It's not random. It's the path of those subvortices. At this stage, the tornado is no longer simple. It's a system within a system. Then comes the satellite tornado. This is where things stop making sense. Because now, there isn't just one tornado. There are two. A second, independent tornado forms outside the main one, orbiting it. It has its own contact with the ground, its own path of destruction, and its own danger. The problem isn't just the power. It's your attention. While you're watching the main tornado, the satellite may already be moving toward you from another direction. Unseen. Unexpected. And finally, the wedge tornado. This is where the tornado stops looking like a funnel and starts looking like a wall. It becomes so wide that it dominates the entire horizon. A massive dark structure connecting sky and ground. No clear edges. No sense of scale. You can't tell where it begins or where it ends. And that's what makes it terrifying. Because it's not just something you see. It's something that takes over everything around you. Structures are erased. The ground can be exposed. Heavy objects are thrown like nothing. And inside it, those multi-vortex dynamics still exist. Only now spread across a massive area, which makes the destruction even more chaotic. If you made it this far, you already know what to do.